Hey, what's up, you guys? Yes. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, and today we'll be going over Ecology Day 5. So let's go ahead and get started. This is going to be a pretty interesting day because we're going to be talking about something that is affecting the planet. And no, not COVID, because that's what's affecting our daily lives, but we're going to be talking about how do we evaluate the effects of pesticides on the food chain. And so to start us out, what is pesticide? So that word pesticide, we have the first part here, pest, which is maybe like an insect or a bug, anything that is not what we want. Pestilence. And you're probably used to hearing about pesticides in conjunction with crops, like you can see here. And this word side, or this suffix rather, you may be familiar with that with like homicide. This is kill the pests. So how do we evaluate the effects of pesticides on the food chain? So you may be aware that a lot of pesticides are used in modern agriculture, so farming, commercial farming. And how can we evaluate the effect that that has on our planet? Well, we're going to start by talking about DDT. So had we been in class, you would have read this independently, but I'm going to read it with you. And as we read, we're going to underline and highlight anything that sticks out, circle anything you do not understand. So I'll explain some things. And once you're done, we're going to fill in the graphic organizer, and we're going to talk a bit more about DDT. So let's go ahead and dive in. So we're going to start with the questions. So the title of the article is The DDT Story. And you may want to go ahead and open this up on your end already, but I'm going to go over the questions first. So what is DDT and what did humans use it for? You might assume that it is a pesticide, and you would be right. That's what we're talking about. So when did the United States stop using DDT? Be sure to include the effects on humans and eagles. What did Rachel Carson discover and write on, and what effects did this cause? So Rachel Carson, we're going to be reading about her in just a moment. And what does a cost-benefit trade-off in the use of DDT as a pesticide entail? So cost-benefit, what this is saying is, yes, maybe there are some bad things about DDT we're about to read about, but there are some benefits. It's a pesticide. So where do you stand? What is your opinion? So the final question here, the article states that some groups in Africa are promoting DDT or nothing in order to control its malaria-carrying mosquito population. So DDT affects mosquitoes. And you may recall from our spread of diseases lab back in the before times, malaria is a serious disease. So, do you agree or disagree with the groups in Africa? Find 3 pieces of evidence to support your opinion, and we're going to fill that in just a few moments. But first, now let's read the article. If there is a single pesticide almost everyone can name, it's DDT. DDT was one of the first chemicals in widespread use as a pesticide. And we already said we know what pesticide means, right? Kills pests, insects around crops or human populations. Following World War II, it was promoted as a wonder chemical. The simple solution to pest problems, large and small. Today, nearly 40 years after DDT was banned in the US, we continue to live with its long-lasting effects. Oh wow, what are its long-lasting effects? So we can see here it was initially promoted as a wonder chemical. Was that a question that we got here? So what is DDT? So DDT is a pesticide that was promoted as a wonder chemical after World War II, and it was in widespread use. I'm looking at globally. Let's continue. So the USDA found DDT breakdown products in 60% of heavy cream samples, 42% of kale greens, 28% of carrots, and lower percentages in many other foods. So what does this mean? This means that DDT contaminated the food supply. Okay, so in 60% of heavy cream samples, heavy cream is coming from cows, guys. They're not putting the pesticides on cows. That means that the grass that the cows ate or whatever it was that was fed to the cows was contaminated with this pesticide. It made it through the cow's body enough to contaminate their milk and still be around in cream that's been pasteurized, right? That's been boiled. So in the case of chemicals like DDT, processes like pasteurization that remove living things like bacteria might not work and instead might leave you with a higher concentration of, for example, heavy metals are like this, lead, and DDT is the same way. So as we pasteurize our cream, we're leaving a greater percentage of DDT around. And as you can see here, 40 years after DDT was banned, we're still seeing these effects because DDT is a dangerous pesticide. So here's the body burden. DDT breakdown products were found in the blood of 99% of people tested by the CDC. In the blood, probably in your blood, in my blood, DDT, this dangerous pesticide. So we know that it's everywhere, right? This is a thing that we do know, but why did they ban it? Let's talk about what are the dangers of this DDT. Health impacts. Girls exposed to DDT before puberty are 5 times more likely to develop breast cancer in middle age. What? And it seems like we're almost all exposed to DDT before puberty at this point. So, banned for agricultural uses worldwide by the 2001 Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants. So banned in the United States 40 years ago, but worldwide it was banned in 2001. The use of DDT is still permitted in small quantities in countries that need it, with support mobilized for the transition to safer and more effective alternatives. So we need a safer alternative, right? Because we know that this is a carcinogen. It's causing cancer. The treatment of DDT under the Stockholm Convention is strongly supported by PAN and our international partners. Rachel Carson, so we read about her in the questions, highlighted the dangers of DDT in her groundbreaking 1962 book, Silent Spring, which when you all take AP US history, you will hear about Silent Spring. This was very important to US environmental policy, so politics. Carson used DDT to tell the broader story of the disastrous consequences of the overuse of insecticides. So thinking about now in our current unit, ecology, how does biodiversity impact an ecosystem, right? The best ecosystem is biodiverse with a great variety of different organisms. Once you target pests, insects with these pesticides, what damage have you done to the ecosystem? And once these pesticides started being used globally, what damage have we done to the planet? So Carson used DDT to tell the broader story of the disastrous consequences of the overuse of insecticides and raised enough concern from her testimony before Congress to trigger the establishment of the Environmental Protection Agency. And that's what I'm talking about, important to politics. The EPA. They're still around today. Her work attracted outrage from the pesticide industry, so people who had money to make, and they were like, Rachel Carson, how dare you mess up our money? And other people who had money to make from the use of DDT, I'm sure. Her credibility as a scientist was attacked, and she was derided as hysterical because she was a woman, despite her fact-based assertions and calm and scholarly demeanor. Following the hearings, President Kennedy convened a committee, to review the evidence Carson presented. The committee's review completely vindicated her findings. One of the new EPA's first acts was to ban DDT due to both concerns about harm to the environment and the potential to harm human health. There was also evidence linking DDT with severe declines in bald eagle populations due to thinning eggshells. Since DDT was banned, bald eagles in the US have made a dramatic recovery. So let's go now and take some of this information and answer some questions. So why did the United States stop using DDT? Let's change that. Why did the United States stop using DDT? Be sure to include the effects on both humans and eagles. The United States stopped using DDT due to concerns about the environmental impact and effect on human health. DDT can increase likelihood of developing breast cancer, we read about. Girls exposed for puberty. And now I'm going to add in the bit about the bald eagle. One of the EPA's first acts was to ban DDT. EPA was established after Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, which is what the next question is going to ask. One of the EPA's first acts was to ban DDT due to both concerns about harm to the environment and potential for harm to human health. There was also evidence linking DDT with severe declines in bald eagle populations due to thinning eggshells. So here we go, folks. That's our answer. So what did Rachel Carson discover and write on, and what effects did this cause? So I think we're about to get some more information now. Let's see. Of widespread insecticide use. This book and her testimony to Congress resulted in the establishment of the EPA, or the Environmental Protection Agency. And the banning of DDT in the US. And we might want to add more detail to that. Let's see. Okay, so recently, Carson's work has again been targeted by conservative groups. Capitalizing on the iconic status of DDT, these groups are promoting widespread use of the chemical for malaria control as part of a broader effort to manufacture doubt about the dangers of pesticides and to promote their anti-regulatory free market agenda while attempting to undermine and roll back the environmental movement's legacy. So basically, make money doing things cheaply while destroying the environment. And they are able to do this in many other countries, but in the United States, we have environmental protection. We have the EPA. However, certain people who may be in political office right now, certain presidents perhaps, may have financial interests, and people in power in the EPA that have financial interests in using pesticides for their cultivation of crops and just to make money. Selling the chemical pesticides themselves is an enormous industry, aside from its impact on farming and agriculture, which is also an enormous industry. Many DDT promoters are also in the business of denying climate change. Attacks on Carson from groups like the Competitive Enterprise Institute and Africa Fighting Malaria portray DDT as the simple solution to malaria and blame Carson for millions of deaths in Africa, which again, right, we have evidence that the DDT itself is harmful. So if DDT had been used to eliminate all these mosquitoes in Africa, there may have been other harmful effects on the environment that we don't know about. And there may have been other harmful effects on the people there. Many of these DDT promoters are also in the business of denying climate change and defending the tobacco industry by denying the health harms of smoking. So these sound like really upstanding individuals, right? Human health harms. The science on DDT's human health impacts has continued to mount over the years, with recent studies showing harm at very low levels of exposure. So there's already harm at very low levels of exposure. Studies show a range of human health effects linked to DDT and its breakdown product, DDE. Breast and other cancers, male infertility, miscarriages and low birth weight, developmental delay, nervous system and liver damage. So this doesn't sound good. And also look at this next title here, no silver bullet for malaria control. So is DDT really the greatest thing to control malaria? Seems like no. The only remaining legal use of DDT is to control malaria-carrying mosquitoes. A devastating disease, malaria kills more than 800,000 people every year, the majority of deaths among children in sub-Saharan Africa. Indoor spraying with DDT is one of a number of tools being used to control malaria around the world. Only in rare cases is it the most effective choice. Successful malaria control programs have been built all over the world using a variety of approaches that are affordable and appropriate to local needs. All include community involvement, appropriate technology, and investment in public health capacity and education. These community-based integrated solutions have proven successful in places as diverse as Mexico, Kenya, and Vietnam. Unfortunately, vocal groups such as Africa Fighting Malaria continue to promote a simplistic DDT or nothing debate, ignoring on-the-ground evidence from around the world that more effective approaches are saving lives without putting communities in harm's way, from exposure to the long-lasting chemical. So, now let's take a look. We're supposed to evaluate this argument. Is DDT really what we need to prevent malaria? What is the cost-benefit trade-off in the use of DDT as a pesticide entail? So, in order to do a cost-benefit analysis of DDTs, we must examine the environmental impact and the impacts on human health, the costs and the benefits of killing mosquitoes and being used effectively as a pesticide, but it contaminates the crops. Okay. So again, for cost benefit, where do we stand? You may be able to tell by my answer. DDT should be banned worldwide. The article states, worldwide, the article states, more effective measures. I can't type. For controlling mosquito populations exist. So the article states that some groups in Africa are promoting DDT or nothing in order to control. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. The article states that some groups in Africa are promoting DDT or nothing in order to control malaria-carrying mosquito populations. Do you agree or disagree with the groups in Africa? Find 3 pieces of evidence to support your opinion. Biomagnification, so this is what we're about to go through. Mm.